All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm super excited for this Zoom tonight. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Courtney Grutza. I've been in the business for a little over 7 years. I'm a double diamond. I'm from Charlotte, and I am a stay-at-home mama of 2 little boys. And I'm just so excited for you guys to hear from Jessica. She is a constant, super consistent top enroller in the company, and I know she's going to bring so much goodness. So Jessica, if you want to go ahead, I will unmute you and just share a little bit about your story to start out with.
Hi guys, my name is Jess. I'm a triple diamond with the company. I've been with It Works for about 4.5 years. So my story starts, like I said, 4.5 years ago, but I'm gonna bring it back like 6 months prior to me joining. So literally like five years ago, I had just graduated from college. I was lucky enough to be a Division I college athlete, and I did everything right. I went to college. I went with a STEM major, which is like in the science field. I was a geology major, and I graduated with my degree and with like a plethora of minors because that's what everyone told me to do. And I graduated, and about, I would say like 2 months after graduating, I ended up getting my first big girl job. I was a full-time registered geologist living in Kentucky at the time. I had moved back home after college, and I was living in my parents' basement, and I got my first big girl job, and I was so excited because my entire life, you guys, I played sports up until literally I was 22 years old. So I played sports my entire life. So I was always told where to be, how to act, what to look like. My schedule was made out for me for literally the first 22 years of my life. So I remember graduating and thinking like, yes, like this is it, freedom. I'm not playing anymore. I'm so excited. I'm not going to be broke all the time because I was a college athlete. I couldn't work. We weren't allowed to. And even if we were allowed to, I just simply didn't have the time. So I was super excited. I remember getting my first big girl job. Everyone was so excited. I was too, because that's what we're told to do. And I remember getting my first paycheck, and I was like, what is this? I cannot live off this. I'm living in my parents' basement. I can't live off this. Maybe it's just a fluke because it's my first paycheck. And I remember getting my second paycheck 2 weeks later, and it was the same thing. And I'm still like, what in the world am I going to do? And so I just like kept doing what I was doing. And probably like 2 months into my first big girl job, I picked up a part-time job as a softball coach because I played softball my whole life. So when I wasn't a full-time geologist, I was a softball coach. Like I'm talking from 7 a.m. to probably like 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon, I was a full-time geologist. And then from about 6 to 10 every single night, I was a softball coach. And I was doing that every single day. And Saturdays and Sundays, I was at the softball field literally all day long. So at 22, I was working 2 jobs, literally like 70 to 80 hours a week. And I was still living paycheck to paycheck, even though I was living in my parents' basement. And I just knew that like something had to give. I remember looking at, places to rent like apartments and stuff in my area. And I remember one of them that was like, it wasn't super nice, but like it was close to my parents' house, and it was $800 a month, which like I would kill for that now. But I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, it's so much money. Like I can't do that. I can't afford it. I had student loans I had to pay off. I just had like normal everyday bills. And even living in my parents' basement, I was still barely able to stay afloat. So I remember it was probably like, I would say like a month or 2 weeks before I actually even found this opportunity. I remember like Google searching work from home jobs, like things, a third job that I could add in. And it was literally, like I said, 2 weeks to a month later, I remember a girl messaging me on Instagram actually about the products, and I didn't care about the products. But what I did do was go to her Instagram story, and I saw that she was making money from her phone. And I was like, say less. This is literally what I've been Google searching for the last month. Sign me up. And I got started immediately. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I didn't care. I just wanted to make an extra income. And I got started, I say immediately, but I actually had to wait until payday. So I got started on a Friday, and I just went all in. Like I remember joining, and I wasn't one of those girls who joined for an extra couple $100s a month. So I want you guys to put in the chat how much you joined for, because I was a crazy person. I joined for $2,000 a month. Like that's what I wanted, and I was hell bent on making that happen. So with that being said, like what I joined for, I wanted to make sure I was going to get that. And so I joined in December of 2018. And as we know, conference used to be and was at the time in January. So the very next month. And I remember joining and just like hopping on as many Zooms as I can. Obviously in our team pages, we have like Zooms posted, and I would go through and in my free time, I would listen to them. And I kept seeing and hearing people talk about this conference thing, and I didn't really understand what it was. But I did hear people saying like, it changes your business, it changes your life. And I'm like, well, I joined for $2,000 a month. So like, I might as well give it a chance because it's changing these people's lives and their businesses. So I wanted to change mine. So I literally went to conference a month into my business. I remember not telling anyone until the night that I had to leave to go to the airport. I remember telling my mom like, hey, can you drop me off at the airport tomorrow? And she was like, what? And it's so funny because I actually called in sick to work. I didn't even ask off because they weren't going to give it to me. And that was another reason why I joined too, was because no matter how hard I worked, no matter how much PTO I built up, they would still always deny it. And so I joined for money, but I also joined for freedom. And I didn't realize that until a couple months into the business. So I literally went to conference, and I'm so grateful that I did. But one thing that I do want to emphasize is you guys heard me say I joined for an extra $2,000 a month. Now, here's the thing. It took me a month and a half to get my first customer, my actual first customer. My first customer was my mom. And the only reason that that was even able to happen was because I had a credit card with her name on it, and I used that to pay for it. And then I ended up paying the credit card bill. So I paid for it. But my first real customer, it took me a month and a half. And it took me 2 months to get my first distributor. But I went to conference and it changed everything for me. I feel like I had so much more of a clearer vision. And I also got to see all of these girls I saw speaking on Zooms that were like so inspirational to me. I got to see them in person, and I realized they're just normal people like me. And so I left conference, immediately went executive in Ruby in the same month, so in February. And then in March, I ended up going Emerald. And I was like on fire, momentum was going. And then I'm like, I'm going diamond. And then I didn't. And I didn't the month after that. And I didn't the month after that. And it actually took me 10 months to finally go diamond. But here's the thing. I went diamond at the next conference that we had, ended up getting a $15,000 bonus. And 2 months later, I went double. And after I went double is literally when COVID hit. And so I had already replaced my full-time income even as an emerald. So about 6 months into my business, I ended up quitting my full-time job as a geologist. So I was just doing this, and I was a part-time softball coach. And then when that, kind of year and 2 month mark hit, I went double, and COVID had hit. So I ended up dropping my part-time job as a geologist, and this was my full-time job. And in that same moment, I also had my boyfriend leave his 9 to 5, and I took him full-time, like stay-at-home boyfriend. And we actually picked up and moved to Florida out of our parents' basement, or out of my parents' basement. And in that same time, we did so much in such a little amount of time. But around that year and 2 month mark, I went completely full-time with the business. I brought my boyfriend home from his 9 to 5. We paid off all of our student loans, all of mine, all of his. We paid off all of my car debt that I had. And we picked up and moved out of my parents' basement all the way to Florida, where we live now. We've lived here. It was 3 years in May, which is super crazy to say. But we've been able to do so much in that short amount of time. It's just so crazy. And so I went double. I moved to Florida. I'm like, all right, let's go triple. And you guys, I pushed for triple for exactly 3 years and 1 day until this last April. My team and I went triple. And we've just been able to do so much because of the business, travel more than I ever thought possible. Obviously, we went debt free, like I said. We've lived in a couple places here in Florida, but we're now in a luxury apartment looking for our first home, actually, as we speak. We've been able to build up a savings bigger than I ever thought possible for someone in my age. We've been able to travel and just live a life that I used to sit in my office and like daydream about. And it's truly all because of this opportunity. This is all that we do. And that's just a little bit about me.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I didn't realize how similar our stories were. My business changed everything at conference, and I also retired myself and he's now my husband. But at the time he was my boyfriend, and I was like, congrats, you're a stay-at-home boyfriend. Have a nice day. And it was so fun. So I love that. So let's hop right into it. First off, you guys, I know there are so many of you guys on here. Put a 1 in the chat if you've joined in the last 3 months. If you've joined in the last 3 months, I know there's so many newbies on here, and you guys have probably heard all of us talk about green carpet, and we're like, green carpet, green carpet, green carpet, green carpet. And you're like, I don't even know what that is. I don't know if I should go. I'm brand new. Hear what Jess said, you guys, just figure out a way to get there. Because like she said, I will promise you the same thing. If you go, it will change everything for you. Promise. Okay. So we're just going to hop right in. And you guys, if you have any other questions for Jess as we go, put them in the chat. I'm going to be watching that this whole time. But the first question that I had from someone on the team was, what would you tell the new girl who isn't really feeling like she's doing enough? She kind of feels like she's failing, and like she just doesn't know if this is going to work for her.
Yeah, so what I would tell you is it's literally all in your head. Like, you get to decide if you're going to be successful or not. But with that being said, you have to decide and you have to put the work in. And then you also have to keep the faith. So we're very fortunate. Our team got to have a Zoom with Joey and Stacy recently. And there was something that Joey said that has just resonated and stuck with me. And I'm super glad that we had that Zoom a few days ago, because it's fresh in my mind and I'm able to tell you. But faith without work, or work without faith, is dead. And so when it comes to you being new and you're like feeling it out, you're not sure if this is for you, I'm going to tell you right now, God brought you here for a reason. I didn't know anything about this opportunity. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no experience. I had 200 followers on Instagram, didn't even have a Facebook. I posted like 1 picture a year if you were lucky. I didn't know how to edit photos. I'd never posted a story before. The list goes on and on for how unqualified I was for this opportunity. But God brought me here for a reason, and I was scared out of my mind to do it, but I knew that I needed a change in my life, and I knew the current situation and what I was doing currently was not going to give that to me. As a geologist, one thing that I forgot to mention was I was going through all of these. I was almost like in school, as well as being a geologist, because I was flying all over the country, getting these certifications, getting these whatever it may be, added on to like my registered geologist. And I remember it was like the end of the year. So I had been with my company at the time, when I was a geologist. I had been with them for like 6 or 8 months. And I remember it came around time for them to like raise your pay. And they came in and they raised it an extra $100 for an entire year. And they looked at me and they said, hopefully it'll be bigger next year. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I worked so hard. I work harder than the guy down the hall who has his feet up on the desk. And you're gonna raise my pay $100 for the year. Like, that's the value that you see in me. So I want you to remember and think about your current situation. You were brought here for a reason. You have to have faith that you can make all those dreams that you have in the back of your head that you think about all the time. You have to have faith that you can make that happen, but then you also have to put the work in. And with that, you also have to have the patience. Because for me, you guys, it took me a year and 1 month to go diamond. I pushed so hard every single month from the moment I heard what diamond was and how to get it. I pushed so hard, and it took me a year and a month to get it. You have to have that work, you have to have that patience, and you have to have that faith. But one thing that I can say for certain and is that you were brought here for a reason. So remember that those dreams, we all have like a vision flash across our eyes whenever we press join now and start our business, of this like magnificent life we have dreamed up for us. I want you to always think about that. Keep that in the forefront of your brain. I want you to write out your goals. I want you to have a vision board. You can even do it on your phone screen. I have one on my phone screen that I look at every single day. Subconsciously and consciously, I'm seeing my dreams in front of me every single day. And that's what keeps me going. And that's the cool thing about this opportunity, is that you don't have to look like XYZ. You don't have to post like XYZ. You don't have to have this crazy, outlandish resume to be able to be successful. This opportunity, anyone can be successful. And that means you can too. But you have to put in the work. And now maybe you're new and you're like, I'm putting in the work, but like, I'm not seeing the results. You have to have that patience. And one thing that I am going to say for all my newbies who just dropped ones and you're here and you joined within the last 3 months, first of all, I'm so proud of you for hopping on. It takes a lot to understand the importance of these Zooms, but you hopped on this Zoom and that is so special. I want you to get on every single Zoom that you possibly can, because there's going to be nuggets of information that change your business, change your life, and change your paycheck for the better. So make sure you keep hopping on these. But I also wanted to say, for all of my newbies, I want you to start asking more questions. I want you, and I give you full permission to feel like you're annoying the person who enrolled you. Ask them questions. I was that girl who I was like, is this story okay to post? Okay, good. So this person said this. I think that I want to say this back. Does that sound right? And it just simple things like that. Or it could be like, hey, Jess, I have posted my story. I have messaged 25 people. I have posted to my Facebook. What more can I do today? I'm going to give you a million different things more that you can also do on top of that. So keep adding things to your plate, because I like to think of this opportunity almost as like you're going to high school for the first time. You're probably scared. You're like, oh my God, like new teachers, like new school, like new friends, all of these things. I'm so scared. And new things keep getting added on your plate every single day that you go to school. And by the end of the first month, you're like, I run this place. Like I know everything. I know everyone. I know where everything is. Same thing with this business. So first of all, you have to give grace, but ask questions and ask for more.
Oh my gosh. So good. You guys put a 0 in the chat if you're like, I'm already ready to go. We can hop off. I'm good. I'm ready to run. Because I love that you said like you have to do the work and have the faith, but you also have to have the patience, because a lot of times, and I remember myself, it took me 3 weeks to sign my first customer, and I too signed up my mom and I said, congrats, you're getting hair, skin, and nails in the mail. Have a nice day. And it's so easy when we're first starting to be like, oh my God, I posted and no one liked and no one commented, so I'm destined to fail at this business. But it takes a long time sometimes, you guys. And I always say this analogy to my team that I'm like, y'all know in like March when McDonald's comes out with the Shamrock Shake and you see the billboard and the first time you drive by, you're like, oh, Shamrock Shakes are back, cool. And then like the second and third time, you're like, oh, those look kind of good. And then like the 5th, 6th, and 7th time, you're like, all right, I'm going to get off because I'm going to go get a Shamrock Shake. And sometimes that's how it is with this business, is that people need to see the opportunity or the products a bunch of times until they're like, okay, fine, give me info. And you will consistently get people that message you and that are like, okay, fine, tell me about this thing. And you're like, you never liked or commented on anything. Where did you come from? So just know those people are watching. So next question is, what would you tell the girl who has seen success already, but feels like she's in a hole, or maybe she's just like a one-hit wonder?
Sorry, I had to mute myself because my dogs were going crazy because my boyfriend got home. So for anyone who's feeling this, I'm going to tell you, just like I told the new girl, that is all in your head. Being a one-hit wonder does not exist unless you believe that it does. You have to understand, as leaders and as new girls, you're going to go through growing pains, just like when we're growing up and we're kids. Like for all of my moms on here, I'm sure when your kids are having growth spurts and it's super painful, and if you have little kids, you're probably like, oh my God, it's the worst. But think about to like your teenage years when like your knees used to hurt, your back used to hurt, or whatever it may be. Or if you're someone who works out and like you're working out for the first time, or you're starting a new exercise and like you're sore for a couple of days, you have to understand that you're not in a hole, you're not in a rut, you're not in a slump. That is literally all in your head, and that's what the enemy wants you to believe. So I want you to rebuke that. You're not a one-hit wonder, and you'll never be a one-hit wonder. What you're in is a growing season. You're in a season where you are growing, you are learning new things. There have maybe been obstacles placed in front of your path, and you're learning your ways and maneuvers around those. Exactly, not today, Satan. But just remember that too, like the enemy likes to isolate us and he likes to lie to us and he likes to tell us like this is the best it'll ever be. But I promise you, like our God is like, no, like let me show you what I can do through you. So I want you to remember that too, and stay super strong with your self-development. Working towards triple for 3 years in one day exactly, that was a bigger mental battle than it was like a physical battle when it came to like enrolling customers or distributors or, teaching my teammates or anything like that. Of course, there could have been times where I thought to myself, like, is this as far as I'm gonna get? Like, is this as high as I'm gonna get? Is this as big of a paycheck as I'm going to get? And the answer is always no. So regardless of if you are in that like growing season that I was in that growing season from emerald to diamond, and I was in that growing season from double to triple too. The double to triple one was really, really long, but I refused to ever feel like I was stuck. I refused to ever feel like I was in a slump. I refused to ever feel like I was in a hole. And I want you to feel that same way, like refuse to feel that way. Stay strong in your self-development too. Because when you stay strong in your self-development, you're going to wake up every single day and you're going to be dedicated to what's next, whether that be, your next promotion, whether that be your re-rank, whether that be finding your next rock star, whatever it may be. So focus on like what's ahead and appreciate the season that you're in right now, because like I said also to the newbies, because it's so cool, like newbie stuff also goes hand in hand with like leadership stuff too. Patience is so key, because it's all going to come in God's timing, and God's timing is perfect timing. And I know that for so many reasons, but just speaking from experience, the people that I went double with, or the people that I went triple with, my team that I have right now, I did not have that team a year ago. I did not have that team 2 years ago. I did not have that team 3 years ago when I was pushing for double, but I have that team now. And that is quite literally my dream team. And I have dream people joining me every single day. So know that if you are where you are and you're not where you want to be yet, I want to emphasize the yet, because you will be there. Just know that better is coming, better distributors, better customers, better bonuses, better whatever it may be. So just remember that is all in your head. Have the patience, enjoy the growing season that you're in. It's going to be a little bit painful, but you're going to come out stronger in the end. And at the end of the day, this is something that I also tell all of my leaders and all of my new girls who kind of go through a rough patch. There's going to be a girl on your team. I don't know if it's going to be in a week. I don't know if it's going to be in 6 months. I don't know if it's going to be in 6 years, who's going through exactly what you're going through. And here's the thing, you're going to be able to help her through it, because you went through the exact same thing and you made it through to the other side.
Yeah, so good. And I've gotten 3 personal or private messages, so I want to ask it quick before I forget. They said, what are your favorite ways to do personal development? What are your favorite things?
Hold on, I got them right here for you guys. So I wake up every single morning. My personal development has looked different. Here it is. My personal development has looked different throughout the years, but I feel like what I do now, I've been doing it for almost a year, is quite literally my favorite. So I wake up, I have 2 devotionals. They're very good. Almost every single girl on my team, especially my leaders, have these. So Joyce Meyer, she is my girl. You can get these on Amazon too. So this was technically my first devotional was Jesus Calling. I got it from my mom in like college, but I didn't like use it. I love it to this day, but these are my favorites. So I do the Quiet Times with God devotional. This is a Joyce Meyer one. It's super, super good. And then I got this one as a gift. It's Trusting God Day by Day. These are super good too, because I feel like every single, I'm reading 2. So I'm kind of getting like 2 little snippets that relate to different parts of my business, different parts of my life. So I do those every single day. And then I also have the Thrive Women's Devotional Bible. This is really good, you guys, especially if you're, just getting into your faith. I found my faith and I found Jesus through this business and through this company, which is something that I'm super grateful for. But this is a great Bible to start off with. What I love is it has little passages, or obviously like you can read the Bible, but then every couple of pages or every other page, there is a devotional. Like this is a devotional that kind of reverts back to the reading, and it speaks to you. It's actually called like a love letter from God, which I think is really cool. So I do those every single day. And then I also do positive affirmations in my chat with my team, and I also will read them out loud. So these are ever changing depending on where I am in my business or what I'm going after. So obviously right now, my team and I, we just went triple. And so, some of my positive affirmations are talking about presidential. It's talking about my dream income. It's talking about how many diamonds that I'm going to have on my team. So I do that. And then another thing that I love, and my team loves this too, is I'm like a huge fan of kind of not corny, but like Steve Harvey motivational podcasts, or those videos on YouTube. Like those just like pump me up, and I love them so much, and my team loves them too. Like we are huge stans of Steve Harvey over here. And so I'll listen to that like in the shower, or if I'm getting ready, or if I'm driving to the grocery store, just like filling myself up with goodness. You have to fill your cup as leaders and as new girls. For all my new girls, I did not take personal development seriously. And the moment that I did was the moment that I changed as a person. I remember people, I still remember to this day, like people like, how are you so positive? Like, how do you see the bright side of XYZ situation that you're going through, or that other people are going through? And like what I just showed you is the reason why. It helps me not feel like I'm in a rut. It helps me not feel like that girl who just quit is the end of the world or the end of my business. It helps me not, there's so many things that it helps me not do, but it also helps me be the best version of myself every single day for my future self and for my current team and my team to come as well. So that's like my self-development as of right now. I also do love to read. So Craig Rochelle is I don't have the book with me, but Winning the War in Your Mind, I read it a year ago and it changed my business. That is by Craig Rochelle. You can get that one on Amazon too. That is one book that I recommend to every single person on this Zoom. The devotionals, there's so many great devotionals. There's so many great Bibles. There's so many great podcasts, but Winning the War in Your Mind, every single person on this Zoom should read that book. It will change your mind and change your life and your business.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I also have the same Bible right here. I'm like, that's a good one. But you guys notice how she didn't like stutter. She knew exactly what she does for self-development. And I promise you, any top leader that you go to, any top enroller, they're gonna be like, okay, I do this, and this, because half of this business, if not more, is mental. Because there's never going to be a time where you wake up every single day like, all right, I'm going to go send my host post messages and I'm so excited. No, you're going to wake up and be like, oh my God, if I have to send one more message, I'm going to throw my phone across the room. But you do it anyways. And so that's what personal development is so good for. Okay, so we know you do self-development every single day, but what else do you do daily to be a consistent top enroller in the company?
So I do my self-development first thing when I wake up in the morning. That was a hard habit to break. Normally I'm a very hard worker. Like if I could work 24/7 and not have to sleep, like I would do it. I've always been that type of person. But I have to slow myself down. And as soon as I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing that I do. I'll check my text messages for like emergencies. But that's the first thing that I do. And honestly, you guys, like I listed a lot of things and you're probably like, oh my God, she spends like 5 hours doing this. Honestly, it's like 30 minutes in the morning. Like I spend 30 minutes, maybe 45. sometimes 20 minutes, sometimes 15 if I'm in a rush. So it's not like a huge chunk out of my day, but I promise you, starting your day off like that will not only put you in a fantastic mood and fill your cup up, but it'll also just, I really truly feel like it's going to bless your day. But here's the thing, I start off my day like that to fill my cup up, because I can't help fill other people's if my cup is empty. I cannot help my team to the best of my ability if I'm not all there. So I start my day with that. And then after that, I check in with my newbies. My leaders, they're all really awesome. I know so many of them are on here, but they're like so self-sufficient, and I love that. And you know why they're that way? It's because they asked so many questions in the beginning, that they made themselves self-sufficient really without me having to do anything other than to tell them, like, please harass me. So I love that so much. Like, if you're a newbie, ask questions. So I check in with my newbies. My newbies know, like, I'm texting them every single day. I know some leaders don't do that. I do. Like, I'm going to check in with my newbie every single day, because if I'm annoying her, she knows that she now has the permission to annoy me back, which is good. And then after that is when I'll start to get into my business stuff. It looks different in different seasons. It looks different in different months. But as of right now, I can talk about right now because TikTok is doing very well. But I can also talk about like a couple months ago when TikTok wasn't doing as well. So I will answer messages in the morning on my Instagram and on my Facebook. And as soon as I do that, I also get my stories posted in the morning. I'll usually like make breakfast or something, or make my coffee. And then after that is when I start getting into my tasks. So even though I have TikToks that are doing very well right now, I still do not revert away from my, like, what I know always works, which is Facebook and cold messaging. I know so many people are like anti-cold messaging, but like, I love it, because you guys, I wouldn't be sitting here speaking on this Zoom to each and every single one of you, living a life that I can't even express how grateful that I am for this dream life. I wouldn't be here if someone didn't cold message me. Like, drop a 2 in the chat if someone cold messaged you and that's how you got here. So I love cold messaging. It's my favorite. I don't care what anyone says. If anyone gets mad, well, get mad at all the people who email you every single day too. So anyways, I will go through and I'll start sending out my friend requests. I will also work on my host posts. So I still do host posts every single day, and I'll send out host post messages. I'll also send out cold messages. And then because TikTok is doing really well right now, and this is actually something that I always do, so I shouldn't preface that by saying because TikTok's doing well, I will find videos and remake them. I like to like stock up on drafts. So I literally have like 900 TikTok drafts right now. That way, if I'm ever in a pinch, like, I always have something to use. But I like to spend like 5 minutes here and there and like find trending sounds and then just like record a little snippet of it. But I do that like 5 different times. So if I want to repost the video, I don't have to like snap tick and save it. I mean, I can, but I also have like me lip syncing to it just like a little bit differently. So I do that, and I'll get my TikToks posted. And then throughout the day, I'm just kind of doing like our daily tasks here and there, answering my team back. My non-negotiables, do you want me to talk about that? Because my day, I feel like is a little bit hectic. It's not super structured because I'm not like I feel like it's structured in my head, but I'm not like a mom. I don't have like a set schedule, but I get all my stuff done. So Facebook, my non-negotiables are I'm friending on Facebook every single day. Another Facebook non-negotiable is I'm posting on my Facebook feed every single day. Another Facebook non-negotiable is I'm sending out host-to-post messages every single day, and I'm shooting for 10 every single day. Even in the busiest seasons of my business, I'm shooting for 10 host posts every single day. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. There's days where I do everything in my power. I put all the time that I possibly could in, and I didn't hit my 10, but that doesn't make me a host to post failure, because maybe I only get 3 up that day, but one of the 3 gets like 20 comments. Just know, like, the work that you're putting in, it's always abundantly blessed. So those are my non-negotiables for Facebook. Oh, another one too, interacting. I love to interact on Facebook because I want people who are not in It Works to see my stuff. And to be honest with you, I want to see their stuff too. So I interact for at least 5 minutes a day on Facebook every single day. Those are my non-negotiables for Facebook. You may be new and you're like, holy cow, that's a lot, girlfriend. It takes me like maybe 15, maybe 20 minutes out of my day to get all of that done. And that's not like 20 minutes sitting down doing it all at once. That's like 5 minutes here, like 2 minutes here, like 5 minutes here, adding up to like 15, 20 minutes. So that's my non-negotiables for Facebook. Non-negotiables for, oh, and also posting to my story, but I'll talk about that with Instagram, is I will post to my stories on Instagram every single day, and those automatically post to my Facebook. I'm posting to my Instagram feed at least 3 times a week minimum. Like, I'm trying to get up a minimum of 2 to 3 life posts on Facebook or on Instagram, but I'm also posting like normal stuff too. And then also sending out cold messages on Instagram. Those are my non-negotiables there. And then TikTok, posting a minimum of 3 a day. I'll tell you guys right now, I had a video do really well for the first time in honestly like 9 or 10 months. I went back and I counted. It got like 500,000 views on TikTok, but I'm going to tell you right now, for 10 months, like, I've been getting 500 views. So if you're stuck at 500 views, so was I, but I kind of got sick of it. So instead of quitting TikTok and not posting and not being consistent, I'm like, I'm going to spam my stuff. And I remember I posted 9 TikToks that day, and 5 of them were about the products. 2 were like normal or like funny, and like 2 were about the business. And one of those 9, which happened to be one about the coffee, went viral. So if TikTok is not cooperating like you would want it to, I'm telling you right now, like, just spam it. Like, take all the care in the world out of like how you look or how perfect it is, and just spam it. Because I promise, if you keep doing that over and over and over again, something's going to happen. Something's going to pop off. And then my non-negotiables just for like the day is follow-ups. You guys, following up is so key. I think it's like 92% of sales happen on the 5th to 12th follow-up. Or no, it's 80% of sales. So 92% of sales happen after the first initial point of contact. So if you're on this and you're new and you're like, people ignored me or people left me on red, girl, it's going to happen. We do it every single day, multiple times a day in our everyday life without even knowing it. Go look at your email right now. How many emails have you ignored today? You're ghosting them. Are they going to shut their business down or get upset that you ignored their email? Absolutely not. They're going to keep sending it. And that's why we send out follow-ups, because there's also a ton of stats out there where like so many, I guess you could say, salespeople are afraid to send out follow-ups, but the people who do get the most amount of customers are the people who aren't afraid to follow up and follow up again and follow up again, because you never know. People live busy lives. I would say like 90% of people are too embarrassed to say that they can't afford it, which obviously none of us would care. Like, we want to help them. If anything, we want them to tell us so we can help them with this opportunity. But they're scared, or they're just busy. Like, maybe you're talking to a mom who just had her baby like 6 months ago, and she's trying to figure out how to even like see straight, and you're messaging her and she was at a red light, and then she was folding laundry, and then like her mom called, like, who knows? So don't take it personally, and follow up always.
Oh my gosh, so many good things, you guys. First thing, notice how she said when TikTok wasn't working for her, she didn't quit, she just did more. Okay, because it's so easy sometimes to be like, well, this isn't working, so I'm just not going to do it. No, do more. And the blessings are bound to come. Okay, the more you do, it's not like the more you do, the less results you get. Okay, it's never going to hurt to do more. And you guys, following up, I love that you talked about that, because put a 2 in the chat if you went to order something and then you realize that your phone didn't have your credit card number saved, and you're like, I'm just going to do it later because I don't want to get off the couch right now. Right, y'all, we all did it. right? How many of you have like 7,000 things in your save for later cart on Amazon, right? Because we're like, okay, do we need it? Do we not? Should we get it? Should we not? Right? So when you follow up, you're like, okay, yeah, you're right. I want it, right? When you get those emails, I just got an email from Old Navy and it was like, you left your jeans in the cart. And I'm like, shoot, I did want to buy those. And I just went and bought them. Did I not want them the first time? No, but I was too lazy to get my butt off the couch. Okay. So just don't be afraid to follow up with people. It's not like I got that email from Old Navy and I was like, block, how dare you follow up with me? No, I was like, oh shoot, yeah, I did want those, right? Don't stress about following up. Don't feel like you're bothering them. And y'all, if you do bother them, they probably spilled their coffee on their pants on the way to work and they're just in a bad mood. Okay, it's fine. You're not the worst person in the world for following up with them. I promise you will survive. Okay, 2 more questions, and then unless anyone has anything crazy, but one question that I loved, and I'm trying to find up or scroll up and find it. Let me see. She's I don't want to say your name wrong. Lavinia said, what was the most memorable moment of the first conference you attended, and what made it click for you?
I love that. I saw that question too, and I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. So, my first conference, I think the thing that made it click was, our leader is Cassie Westland. And I remember when I joined after I joined, like immediately after I got added into our team page, like so many of us do. And I remember watching a new distributor Zoom to get me kind of like onboarded. And she was speaking and she told her story. And I remember like looking her up on Instagram, like, who is this girl? And I was just like blown away by her life. Like she had retired her then boyfriend, now husband, from his 9 to 5. She was like she was like in Jamaica or something when I joined, or she had just went on a trip or something, and she was going on all these trips, and she was living in Florida, and she had like just bought a new car or something like that. And I remember thinking like, holy cow, she lives like the ultimate life of freedom that like I literally want so freaking bad. And so the thing that made it click for me was not just seeing Cassie, but seeing so many other leaders there who I just absolutely admired and looked up to and wanted to accomplish so many of the things that they had accomplished too through this opportunity. And I remember seeing them at conference, like in person, in the flesh, not through a Zoom, not through a recording. And I remember thinking to myself, like, holy cow, they're just like me. Like they're normal. They're not like these perfect people. Like, I mean, they're all perfect, but you know what I mean? Like they're normal humans. Like I was able to humanize them. And I thought to myself, like, they're normal just like me. So why not me? And I left that conference, and I'll always have this like mindset, but whatever person does in or out of this company that inspires me or something that I want to do, I look at that and I think to myself, like, why not me? They started somewhere too. Why not me? And so I think that was a huge thing that clicked for me. But then also being there, and it'll be even more so now at this green carpet, but being there and like feeling and seeing the heart of our company. I remember like Mark's energy. I remember like so much of our corporate team up on stage, and I'm like, holy cow, like this is what I'm a part of. And I'll tell you right now, you guys, for all of you that are on the fence about green carpet, like do whatever it takes. For me, I remember I put it on a credit card. I ate McDonald's every single day. I slept on the ground in a room with 8 girls. And like, it was like, I got basically no sleep, and I slummed it, like I said, eating McDonald's, but I would go back and I would do it a million more times because of the person I became after leaving that. But just being in a room with people who get it, who get that like their childhood or their situation doesn't define them, and they're willing to work their butt off to change it, is such a special thing. I have so many conversations with the girls on my team where every single one of you on the Zoom, you have an entrepreneur mindset, which is why you're here. Yet we're surrounded by so many coin pushers. And if you don't know what a coin pusher is, it's basically someone who is is absolutely okay with someone slapping a price tag on their worth and paying them that hourly. That's what they were doing to me as a geologist. And I remember, like I said, getting my first paycheck, I'm like, what is this? The guy down the hall has his feet up on his desk and I'm doing his work and he's getting paid more than me. Like, you think he's worth more than me? And I just remember that never being okay with me. And I know so many of you on this Zoom feel the exact same way. You have an entrepreneur mindset and we're surrounded by so many coin pushers. It makes it hard. But when you're an entrepreneur surrounded by so many other people, like a plethora of people who have the exact same mindset and are willing to do the exact same things that are hard every single day that you are, to make their life a better life, to leave a legacy for their family, to be the first millionaire in their family, to just change the course of their life and their family's life and their future family's life. It's such a special thing. And you'll leave a person who's completely different and you'll never be the same in the best way possible.
Oh my gosh, I love that. You guys put a 2 in the chat. I don't know when we'll do number 7. Put a 7 in the chat if you're like, you know what, fudge it, I got to get to green carpet. Events are my favorite thing because it's a flip of living in a world by yourself. Because you guys, this business is 99% on social media, where it feels kind of alone sometimes, where it's like, I'm the only one. Like, am I crazy for thinking this? And then you get into a room where it's like, holy crap, I'm not crazy. Like, I can have that dream life that I'm wanting. I can get off that hamster wheel of life of like, when am I going to get to the good part? You can get to the good part and get into an event where other people are like, heck yeah, girl, those dreams aren't nuts. Like, you for sure can do that. It's just the most special feeling. So the last thing that I want to ask you, and I'm skipping questions, but I don't care, is tell me, like, whatever God's telling you right now, like, okay, tell the girls this, tell them this. I want you to say that. I love ending Zooms this way because I just love when God's like, here, someone needs to hear this. And if you hear whatever Jess says and you're like, that was for me, put it in the chat and be like, that was for me. Okay. So whatever God's telling you to say, take it away.
All right. So this one, ooh, what is it going to be? Okay. So this is something that I kind of talk about a lot, but it's like always provoked, but I'm just going to tell you guys this. What we do is so simple. Like you just said, it is like 80% mindset, 20% skill. In my case, I think it was like 5% skill because I joined with no skills. And it was all mindset and getting to just from the moment that I joined, I just had like, it was weird. Like, I joined and I had a weird mindset about this than I had about anything else in my life. Maybe sport, maybe that came from sports. I don't know what it was. But what we do is so simple. And if you really break it down, what we do is so easy. It just takes doing it. And for some reason, doing it can be the hard part. And one thing that I always want to remind every single one of you is we live in a world where we're let down so many times by the people that we love, by the people that we work with, by the people who are our family, by XYZ. Like, drop a 1 in the chat if you've ever been let down, right? We live in a world where we're always let down. Why would you let yourself down by not giving it your all every single day? Why would you let yourself down? And you are the only one who's got you other than God. Do not let yourself down because it's hard or because you're busy or because you're stressed. Like, too many times you've let other people let you down. Do not let yourself down, because you are so special. And I truly believe that none of us were put on this earth to struggle. None of us were put on this earth to stress. None of us were put on this earth to live less than the best life ever. And that's why we all have these daydreams. They're not coincidence. I like to think of them as like a little crystal ball that God has given us as an insight into our dream life. Because I'll tell you right now, it's just like so freaking wild. The things that I had on my very first dream board, like, I remember looking back a year later and like knowing the things that I crossed off. Now, when we made a move into our new apartment that we're at now, I remember like finding it again. And I remember like, oh my God, like instant tears, because there were things that I put on there that I forgot that you guys I've accomplished. Like I'm getting like cold chills right now. And it was because I refused to let myself down. I refused to let the hardships that I was going through any point in my business hold me back. You guys, I was 22, no idea what I was doing, working literally like 70 to 80 hours a week, 7 days a week. And mind you, this is something that I didn't mention. These jobs were jobs that I couldn't be on my phone at. As a geologist, I was around heavy machinery. If I was on my phone, I could lose like a leg or something. And when I was a softball coach, it was for little girls. I had to make sure they didn't like kill themselves. And so I couldn't be on my phone. And I still found the time to be able to work this business. Maybe people thought I had UTIs, but I really didn't care. Maybe I always say I had like designer bags under my eyes for like the first 6 months of my business because I was doing all 3 jobs. But I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't trade it for the world. And if I had to have designer bags under my eyes because I was getting up earlier and going to bed later for an entire year or 2 years, I would have done it, because I refuse to let myself down. And just remember that everything that you're doing in this moment, you can think of it as a sacrifice, but I like to use the word investment. So it's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term investment. And I want you to remember that when you're doing your daily tasks, they're so much bigger than crossing or, check marking something off your list. Your tasks are so much bigger than that. Like you're impacting people through their health and also through their wealth too. Like you're changing people's lives. The best part about what we do is when I get a text from a girl who just told me she bought a new car, or when she told me, oh my gosh, I've never seen this much money in my bank account, or oh my gosh, I just covered my phone bill and I was so stressed about that. Or on the flip side of that, someone texts me like, Jess, like I'm not bloated anymore and I haven't felt this way in years. Or Jess, my skin finally cleared up and I've tried everything. Or soon we're going to have Jess, my hair looks amazing and I've been struggling with postpartum for so long. I didn't think there was a way to ever feel beautiful again. That's what's so special about what we do. And so when you're feeling discouraged or when you're doing the things that sometimes can get hard because we're busy or life is just happening, I want you to remember the impact that you're making on this world. And I want you to remember the impact that you're making on your future life and your future self's life, and to never let yourself down, because the enemy knows that you're on your God-chosen path. He knows that you're on a path to greatness. He's going to do absolutely everything that he possibly can to stop you. And I want you to decide right now that you refuse to ever stop.
Oh my gosh. So good. Seriously, you guys, you're never going to look back and regret the hard work you put in. You're never going to look back and be like, oh, I wish I would have slept in an hour later that day in August. You're never going to do that. But I promise you will feel so much better when you keep those promises to yourself. I say to my team all the time and to myself all the time, what if you actually do those things that you want to do? What if you actually accomplish those goals that you keep saying day in and day out? What if you actually do them? What will that feel like? Oh my gosh, this was so good. You guys, put a 9 in the chat if you're hyped up, put a thank you, whatever you guys want to put in the chat. This Zoom was absolutely incredible. I will put this up on my YouTube tonight, but Jess, I just appreciate you taking time out of your night, hanging out with us, sharing all of your wisdom, and I cannot wait to see you at Green Carpet. I cannot wait to see you go Prez, and this is just amazing. So I hope you guys have an amazing night, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye, guys.